These watches and devices can overestimate your calories burned by up to 80%, right? Which is absolutely insane.
Because if I'm like, oh, I burned 1,200 calories playing volleyball, it's no big deal that I have a Big Mac and fries. Like, I'm just going to be in such a surplus, right?
There is no tomorrow.
And that's where like truly the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is right now.
You'll just end up spinning your wheels if you go down this path, so just be careful.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
Welcome to Motivation Monday. We got a killer episode, and let's jump into our first question out of the mailbag. And this is one we get quite a lot. I think some of our answers here might surprise you. So the first question is, where are you guys at with fitness wearables? Have you changed anything up? And what data do you look to specifically? So obviously wearables have become a big thing. You have Oura rings, you have Apple Watches, you have Whoops, you have Fitbits, you have a ton of different stuff going on. And now even I'll be interested to see, like obviously Kyle's really noticed Meta glasses have blown up. And I think for the first time ever, he's actually wanted a pair because it's pretty convenient. Like you can kind of film real life situations. So for him, like on a car rally, I've even considered like when I'm at like my son's birthday party, it's kind of cool. I can film everyone in a natural, non-rehearsed environment. And I am curious how this will eventually become a thing for the gym. Like, will these glasses like be able to tell me, hey, you didn't pull the bar down enough on a lat pull down, get more squeeze your next rep? Like it'll be really curious to see how it evolves, because for me specifically to answer this question, like I haven't changed my wearables at all in the last probably like 13 years, like how I use it. And what I mean by that is I first started with a Fitbit, like the true OG Fitbit. This was probably like 2015. If you watch early YouTube videos, you'll see I had some iteration of that on. I mainly had that to track my steps, to be aware of where I'm at with steps, to get some heart rate, to get some very basic information. And I'm a big Apple guy. I love the Apple ecosystem. I drink the Kool-Aid. I find it's really easy to use. It's seamless. We airdrop. We've always used all Apple stuff. This podcast is filmed on an iPhone. We're filming this on our Macs on a GarageBand. So like Apple has been our bread and butter. So when the Apple Watch came out, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all for this. And I think me and Kyle got into them kind of before they were cool. I think I started with the 2 or 3, so it was a pretty early adopter, and it basically was a Fitbit Plus for me. It did my steps, it did my heart rate, and I was able to see some text, which I thought was beneficial, and I was hoping it would keep me from my phone a little bit, and eventually it became a great tool to track my workout. So to this day, I have the Apple Watch Ultra, the first Ultra. Kyle has like my old 3 or 4, which is so impressive, and he's kept it going strong. I think I sold it to him for like, I don't know, $200 or something, and it's been bread and butter for him, which has been killer. But for me, I mainly just still use this. I try to Whoop for a bit, and I can get into that. But what I like about the Apple Watch myself is I can track my workouts, and people get really obsessive over the data. They'll put a lot of weight into it. What I like is the data is consistent to itself. I'm aware now of how long I'm in the gym. If I don't have my watch sometimes, it can be a good thing or a bad thing, but you can feel like you killed it and it could have only been 30 minutes. When I look at that time, I kind of know how long I'm in there, where my heart rate's at, how many calories I burned. It's extra motivation for me to have some tried and true data, because the data doesn't lie, to say, okay, maybe I should push it some more. Maybe I should get after it. In the past, I've used it to see how many walks I've done in a month or what I'm averaging. I sometimes get push notifications that'll say, hey, your average steps have gone down. I'll be like, oh shoot, I got to get on more walks. Or it'll say it's gone up. You've done better. Your heart rate has dropped. So I think there's a lot of really cool data, and I'd almost argue I'm underutilizing it. But on the flip side, I think people overutilize it and they put stock into data that may or may not matter.
It's funny because that really makes me remember a conversation I had with someone in the past who was looking to just try to become better. And he was just analyzing the data so much that sometimes I would have like a question like, hey, did you work out? And be like, oh no, like I didn't because my score says this, so like I shouldn't this week. And then like I would consistently have like conversations week to week, and I felt like there was just a lot of underperforming and just overthinking and overanalyzing. And I know a lot of people do this, where you just start to really get so deep with it that it makes you just kind of sometimes not want to do as much. And I see that effect on a lot of people, right? And it should be just a tool that helps you just really become better, but not overthink it. And like, even for me to this day, to get into like some of the things that I personally use, like on my spreadsheet that I update every single day, I make sure to put my steps in there. I just find that is such a great tool. And that's what it's funny, like Josh mentioned the Apple Watch, because it was like many years ago, he was like looking to upgrade. And I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I think I was getting out of the Fitbit. I think something may have happened to a previous Apple Watch. Maybe I remember one time I went cliff jumping and I did lose it. So that was actually probably it. And it's funny because I'm the guy who breaks everything. So it's like, knock on wood, the fact that this is still here and running perfect for me, like I love it, because I have debated going to an ultra, and then I was like, you know what, like if it's not broken, don't fix it. But anyways, so when I update my spreadsheet, I put my steps, which every day I try to get over 10,000. There's the odd day I get 8,000. I put my cardio calories. So anytime I do something like beach volleyball, which we do on Tuesdays, sometimes I do walks consistently. Like if I go for a run, anything like that, I can look at and see how many calories I roughly burned, and I can put it into the spreadsheet just to see and make sure I'm doing a sufficient amount of cardio. And then obviously, just for my understanding of the intensity, I know that if I do a workout and I burn 200 calories, I know there's a very low chance I was pushing myself too much. I was maybe talking too much. I just wasn't as present there. And so I love being able to look and see, okay, how long have I been in here? How many calories have I burned? Looking at the heart rate to see if during the workout I need to take a little bit of extra time after the Bulgarian split squats. Those are the typical things that I like to look at. And these are the needle movers for me. These are the things that push me. And these are the things that really help. Now, the thing I have to say though, is when it comes down to wearables, there have been multiple studies done, through Stanford, through Harvard, all that other stuff, that the typical issue is that these watches and devices can overestimate your calories burned by up to 80%, right? Which is absolutely insane. It's been proven that steps can be pretty accurate, which is awesome. So it's a great tool for that. But a lot of people really get in their own head where they say, even Josh just said he burned 1,200 calories from volleyball yesterday. We were playing for, an hour and a bit, which was awesome. But most people will take data, like if you go golfing, if you go on a run, if you do volleyball, and be like, okay, well, I can eat all these calories back. And it gives you a really false perception of like what's actually going on. And knowing that the data can be so inaccurate, you have to kind of be careful with stuff like that. So that's where I think wearables can be motivating if you use it correctly, but as long as you don't put too much stock in the sense where it's like, hey, I'm going to go eat all these calories back because I move this much, right? And even like some people have these numbers of, I have a client who I have to remind, like she has her device that says how many calories she burns throughout the day, which is just an insane amount. And I'm like, there's just a 0% chance based off of how much we're eating and everything like that. Like you aren't burning that many calories, right? And so I just had to have that talk. And, once again, it's a great thing to use if you use it properly, but that's kind of my stance on it.
Yeah, it's so hard to get into this because like the data is good. The more data, I'm a believer, the better. The problem is the data is only good if you use that data, right? So that's where, to me, I just like a baseline of where I'm at. So just the real world of how I use it is I like it for steps. I like that if I don't get active in the morning, I'll say, hey, you're usually further along now. And some days as well, when I'm working out, I'll say, are you still working out? And I rarely get that message. And when I do, I hate it because it means I'm probably not working hard enough. Sometimes it's wrong though. But I do like it for tracking my workouts because like I said, I like to see that I'm at a certain threshold of intensity. I like the heart rate metric on it as well for lifting because generally I'll wait till my heart rate's like sub 120 to begin my next set because when you lift pretty intense, sometimes it takes some time to come down. And people ask us about rest times all the time. And like, I'd love to give numbers and say 60 seconds, like rest 60 seconds. If I rested 60 seconds after a really heavy squat, I would not be able to perform at like 50% capacity. Like it takes me quite a while for my heart rate to come down. When I finish squatting, my heart rate will go to like 170, 180. And like, these are good points of data you can get from these wearables. I don't get too crazy into the other things with it yet, and I haven't found that too much of it otherwise is worth my time myself. So that's where, like, for me, that's where it's been a happy kind of line for myself. I know for cardio athletes, obviously you can link it with like Strava, you can get your mileage, your distance, your average heart rate, like you can get a lot more info there. But in terms of lifting, like I haven't found crazy benefits, and I can find it can be very misleading, and people get very confused with like, okay, if I burn this, can I eat it? And quite simply, like Kyle said, it just gets really inflated and it creates a false narrative, and I think it becomes more of a detriment Because if I'm like, oh, I burned 1,200 calories playing volleyball, it's no big deal that I have a Big Mac and fries. Like, I'm just going to be in such a surplus, right? Like, because that number is just so far from accurate, especially some of the numbers will use like a running average based on that activity, and it just isn't representative where I'm actually at. Same example, people log their bike rides, they'll burn all these calories and they'll have like a half hybrid electric bike, and you're like clearly not burning as much. Like, very rarely do I care about that data. The one exception is like when I have an athlete, like my client Mike, like if he's running marathons or he's doing 100K bikes, I'll allow him to eat back some of his calories and we're calculated with it. But like that is such a intense extra burn. Like an entire marathon is like a different story, right? Like you do need to refuel. And I think people get very confused because most of us listening to this podcast, like 9 out of 10, aren't athletes in the sense where we're doing like extraordinary bursts of 4 or 5 workouts a day. Like for most of us, we're athletes. Absolutely. We lift hard 90 days. We're maybe doing 60 minutes of cardio, but like that's more of a normal demand. And if you're having decent food and decent nutrition, you'll kind of cover your bases. Whereas if you're like a D1 football player and you're going on runs in the morning and you got 2-a-days and you got games and you're in the weight room, like that's where it's a little bit of a different story. And obviously you could begin to worry more about that. But for the average person, I find it is a good metric to say, am I getting steps? Get some positive fitness reminders, know your calories. To the sleep argument, I'm really against using them for sleep. I actually think it's more of a detriment than it is a positive myself. That's my opinion. I tried the Whoop for a bit. I hated the sleep score thing too, especially when it's out of your control, because it'd be like, hey, try to make up for it. You've had 2 bad sleeps. And like sometimes it's out of your opportunity to actually sleep. And what I mean by that is like if your kids wake you up early, the next day you're not tired and you try to force yourself to go to bed and you can't, and they wake you up early again, like it's just something you feel like you're failing on. And there would be days where it would say like you had a horrible sleep, but I'd feel good. And like the best metric, and studies have shown this too, of how well rested you are is your own internal ability to gauge it. Like we know how we feel, and like this whole readiness thing, like I know people that'll completely not do workouts because their Whoop said they had a low like readiness score to do that workout. And it's cool in theory, and I think like people started to like it, and I like data too. I just find there's better data to track. Like for me, I track my nutrition, I track my energy, I track my food satiety. I do like looking at my steps because like Kyle said, if you don't know, like for most people, you'd probably do like 3,000 steps in a day. It's just the way the world is kind of made. So like there is that. And if I wanted to improve my sleep and I noticed it was really getting bad, maybe I'd track the hours or something like, and that I could kind of get an understanding of where I'm at. And like with my clients, I'll add columns sometimes to their nutrition tracker where I'll be like, okay, let's track water. You've been bad. I want to see where you're at. Let's track sleep. I want to see where you're at. Let's track hours spent scrolling. Like whatever your detriment is, something we can improve and work on. But sometimes this can be information overload, and people say like, do I need a tracker? Like, I don't necessarily think you need it. I just think it depends if it's going to have that utility or it's going to benefit you in some way. And obviously it depends what you're doing. If you're doing long trail runs, like sure, a Garmin makes more sense, right? And it's cool to get the Ultra, but like even for me, I probably don't need it. For me, it's just a battery thing, and that's where it's the benefit. I like the Apple stuff. It was like a little bit more of like a fun splurge in that sense. So that's where I personally got it. But yeah, that's kind of my stance there.
Even the sleep side of things, like recently I saw a clip from Holland, the Norway, just guy who's been crushing it in the World Cup. And he was on a podcast saying that even like he feels the exact same way about the sleep side of things. And it's interesting to see other high level athletes and just like people who are, at the top of the top who have similar beliefs. Like it was just funny. The clip was him just saying, you know what, like it doesn't help me, the whole sleep side of things, right? And even a discussion I had with a buddy yesterday, we were talking and he had like his regular Apple Watch on and then his Whoop, and he was just like, man, he's like, there's been so many times that he felt like he knew he had a really bad sleep and it would tell him he was at like an 89 or like a really good score, and he's just like, I don't really think it's that accurate. And what's interesting, even like to be honest, last night I had an atrocious sleep and we played beach volleyball and it just wasn't it. And it's funny because today, had I had some data probably telling me to just like take it easy, obviously that's what I would likely do, but I just felt so good getting in there. We had a great leg day, momentum was there. I kept the routine, I kept the habit, and to me, I'm such a fan of just like putting in work, like more than anything, right? And I think sometimes if it inhibits you putting in work, like yeah, I didn't hit a PR or anything, but I'm so glad I did it. You know what I mean? So even like looking back on different accomplishments, I'm like, having that Apple Watch was great. Obviously, it syncs to my iPhone quite well. If I had a Garmin when I did my marathon side of things, like would I have become faster or done better? Like, I don't think so. I really don't believe it. Although my friends who are really into running absolutely love it with the data side of things. But I just think there's so many different things you can still use, like depending on what you want. Like, even what's cool is if you have your phone on you at all times now, there's the health app, which tells you your steps. It's not always accurate, but as long as it's accurate to itself and to a certain level. I know a really, shredded jack dude, I think his Instagram and page, he's like King Keto. And he shared the other day, he's been trying to get 20,000 to 40,000 steps. He needed to do a bit of a, quick diet phase. And he showcased his like $20 pedometer that he got off of Amazon. And he's just been using that like for his, like, he's super healthy. He's super jacked. And it's funny because that's what's been working for him, right? So the truth is there's no right answer, but I will say for me, when I get home at 3 p.m. and if I see that I'm at 4,000 steps, I will need to get on a walk. And that's what I absolutely love. The steps to me tells me a lot that I need to know. I need to get out for a walk. My dogs need to be taken care of. And I love using that. So whether I don't have my watch on a Sunday, I can use my phone. Like, there's a lot of different things. It's just my biggest thing is have data you can control, have data that you will make changes of if you see something go on, but don't have too much to the point where it's just like overload that gets you to overthink, because I see so many people do this and I really had to stress that. So those are my personal viewpoints. Maybe it'll change a few years from now. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I have to say on this question.
Yeah, I'm very open to it. And I know now even people have like blood glucose monitors in them. And like there are a lot of specific tools. I just think a lot of these tools are beneficial as you need them. Like even Apple Watch will do some interesting things for like AFib and heart rate and different stuff like that. But like for most people, it's like cool to be like, oh, cool, I have no AFib according to my watch, right? So like since I've used it from the start, it's been a glorified step counter for me, to be honest, right? And there are also drawbacks too with like the always connectedness, right? Like when you're bored, you can just scroll your watch instead of scrolling your phone. Situations, you can do that. It can pop up, it can command more of your time. So I've tried to turn off a lot of the notifications as well to try to combat that. I'd love to see how they develop, and I'd like to see more utility. I think things like Oura Ring are cool, but like Oura Ring and Whoop, what I hate is subscriptions. I hate like owning something and then having to pay for the subscription of that thing I own to get data that like I could get with Apple Watch. So that's where personally I've stayed with Apple Watch. I haven't done anything too funky. I tried the Whoop just to explain like my thoughts of it on the podcast, but I'd definitely like to see more utility, like I said, and more optionality. And obviously there is more than ever, and there's more data that can be just received from this. But personally, I found more success, like I said, with that other data. So in general, like unless there's a specific use case where you're like, this is really holding me back, this will help. I don't see the point of splurging crazy money on these trackers. And I know a lot of people like to, and they want to be techie with it, but I think you get by with like a pedometer or a pedometer bracelet, honestly, for like 20 bucks on Amazon for most people, and receive the benefits that is steps. But anything else to add there?
Last thing I got to say, had a conversation about a year ago with someone who was obsessed with wanting to find the perfect device. And when I had a talk, he wanted to lose weight. I talked about calorie tracking and using the free apps that are out there. And I remember there was so much resistance to doing that because he's like, I just want to keep track of my bikes. And like, he was really obsessed with the movement side of things. And he's still to this day, I know him personally, he hasn't actually lost the weight. But the reason I want to bring that up is because, like I said, people can waste time on a lot of things that I guess, aren't exactly moving the needle, right? Like, once again, it is great to have the data, but it's just, if you've become so fixated on, I'm burning calories, my step classes, I'm getting this many calories, and you just get so fixated, and then you're like, oh, well, I don't have time. And it was funny because he was so ready to analyze the data of like the movement side of things. But when I suggested like the food side of things, there's like, oh, that takes too much time. And I just see a lot of people do stuff like this. So I did want to just let you know, like, be careful of that, because it'll definitely hold you back from seeing progress long term.
Yeah, use your energy where it matters. Like instead of obsessing over how many calories you're burning a day and how many actually you should be eating, like find that baseline number, be consistent with it, track your food, so your weight changes adjusted according to that. Like really focus on your energy, your satiety, your workout intensity, like things that actively matter. And a lot of them are internal gauges and they're totally fine. For some extra people though, the accountability can be good. Like if some people say, do you have a good workout? They'll always say yes. And maybe the watch allows them to actually measure that a little bit more. Like that can be a good tool. And like I said, everyone will use them differently, but just want to share our thoughts, kind of where we're at with them and if we saw anything cool. But we're always receptive and we definitely want to see what continues to come out and how it advances. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into our favorite quotes of the week. What do you got, Kyle?
And my quote for this week is, there is no tomorrow. And I love this. Obviously, it's from Rocky 3, where Rocky had mentioned, tomorrow, let's do it tomorrow. And Apollo Creed was just yelling, there is no tomorrow. It's like the most hype thing in the world. And I just love it because I really believe, like, if you guys know me, which obviously you do, one of my favorite concepts is just that tomorrow isn't promised. There's never going to be a perfect time. The most perfect time is now. And whatever it is that we're looking to do, whether it's like just start a new project, start our health journey, I just really, truly believe if we just do it now, we will be in such a better spot. And I'm going to keep saying that until the day I die, just because, the reality is tomorrow isn't promised. And I really, really believe that if we don't put something off, we are in such a better spot. Like I'll hear people and I'll have a conversation. Someone will be 35 years old and they'll be like, okay, you know what? The kids are at this point, when I'm 40, like that's going to be when I'm going to get serious. And it's just like why not now? Right. And so I just wanted to encourage you how important it is to take action now, to take that risk, to push yourself, to step out of your comfort zone. If you're someone who says tomorrow, if you're someone who says Monday, if you're someone who says next month, if you're someone who says next year, you are going to be waiting forever. And I can promise you that there is no tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the number one thing for me of who's going to succeed and who won't, especially in our program, is people that are like, let's do this. I need to change. I'm starting today. It's not a perfect time. I got stuff going on, but I know I need to make that change. Whereas when other people say, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or once my kids are older, once my wife's not pregnant, or like there's always something. And the case in point is there will always be something. And for as better as you think tomorrow will be, there could also be more challenge, more adversity. And that's where like truly the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is right now. So if there's that thing you've been putting off, it's a good reminder just to take imperfect action, get after it right now. But we're going to jump to my quote, which is, we do not stop exercising because we grow old. We grow old because we stop exercising. And this came to mind for me too. And I just love this quote in general. Even being at volleyball yesterday, we subbed for a buddy, obviously won our championship. Thank you everyone for congratulating on that. And we subbed in for a buddy and we helped them crush it that week. We got all 6 wins and won pretty solidly, which was great. But I love seeing the different people that come out there, and there's some people that are young, some people that are old, and in general, there's people, especially in Florida, who just play volleyball every day. Older people, they ride their bike to the beach, play volleyball, and they look fantastic. They move like they're 20, whereas like a lot of people will stop sprinting. Like they'll never sprint again once they turn 30, which is crazy at full force. Like that's a crazy stat. And I think a lot of people start to say, and we mentioned it before, especially in our friend group, and Kyle actually called out one of our buddies on it. He said, oh, I used to do this, or I used to be really fast. I used to jump high. And he's like, you got to stop saying I used to. Like, this is a 30-year-old man. Like, he's in the peak. He's in the prime. And he's like, I want you saying that now. Like, stop talking about the past. And for too many people, it's like, oh, when I was in my 20s, I looked so good. I used to be such an athlete in high school. In college, I was in such a good flow. Like, don't write yourself off, right? Like you're just going to age worse. We're going to film a longevity podcast on Thursday. So this Thursday's episode will be all about longevity. And like, it's so important you move, and the more you move, and even seeing pickleball, like seeing older people out playing pickleball is awesome. Like it's something, right? They're moving. And I think the more you use your body and the less you're scared, and the more you understand our body is meant to break and heal and grow and do all these different things, the more you can actually see change. But the second you start counting yourself out, you become immobile. It just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It just gets worse and worse and worse. And that's where like the people that just keep moving, they keep active, like they look and feel the best.
Yeah, and even like funny enough, the gentleman Josh just referenced, he was a winner with our beach volleyball on our team as well. And I've had to have some uncomfortable decisions or discussions just because I want to see him succeed. I want my circle, I want my people around me to be the best versions of themselves. And it's funny because even like he would mention different things like, "Hey, summer's really tough," and then like even said like, there'll be some point soon will be trying for a second child, and then like travels a lot throughout the winter. And it's funny because we've had some heart to hearts lately, and we just had to say like, bro, there will never be a perfect time. I know I'm getting back to my quote there, but I just had to share that there, like, it's funny when you kind of like watch yourself, and if you ever notice how many times you'll do that. And he kind of just sat there, he's like, you know what, dude, you're so right. Like, to me, having accountability during those times where you're traveling, where it's tougher, is so important. And now, we're in the first week, he's crushing it already. Got a goal to lose about 20 pounds in 90 days, which is 100% doable. And I just want to share like how important that is. And even like, similar to Josh's quote, it just got me thinking about how my ultimate goal, like when it comes down to fitness, it's not about being perfect. It's not about hitting world records or anything, but to be able to say in my current moment, I'm in like I'm at the best possible version of myself. I can run, I can move, I can jump, I can sprint, I can lift heavy. My heart rate's in a great spot. Like, that is one of my biggest things that just causes me to keep showing up. And I look great too. That's one of my biggest goals, of course, as well. You have to have that vanity goal as well. So yeah, I just thought that was so great because like to this day, I'll hear people, and I despise it. It's like, hey man, when I was your age, I did this. I'm like, well, my goal in 10 years when I'm talking to this person is to say, hey, well, I'm still doing it. I'm still the best possible version of myself. So it motivates me daily. And I absolutely love that quote.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the rule of five because I think the people you're around, what you normalize becomes normalized to you. So even like in our friend group, everyone lifts, everyone tries to eat healthy, and it just normalizes it. It makes it natural. And it's funny, we were at a kid's birthday party and there was no like Diet Cokes. It was just like juice boxes and Coca-Cola and different things. And Kyle's like, I haven't been around. Like, I swear everyone just drinks Diet Coke. And I'm like, I think your circle, just everyone drinks Diet Coke, or people have protein options or more healthy snacks. And I think that's what's tough, right? It's what's normalized to you, what's common. If all of your friends are really overweight and making poor decisions with their health, like, it's going to be more normal for you to do that. Whereas if you're in a circle and everyone you know is like way fitter than you, way healthier, and like, it's motivating, right? You're kind of like, oh, I gotta rise to this level, right? Or you can kind of fall to your circle as well. And that's where, like, obviously people can be amazing. They can be great in some things and not in others, but it is good to analyze, like, is my circle building me up? And if it's not, that's where things like this podcast are good, because me and Kyle will be in your circle for a bit. We'll elevate you, we'll challenge you, we'll get you thinking on some things for you to be like, okay, I'm going to step it up. I want to be more like them. I want to normalize this. And just in general, that is something that I've been thinking about in sphere of influence. And like I said, I think it's kind of good when you have people around you that are building you up, that make it more common, that make it more normalized, because it's harder when you're that one person out, right? And they're like, just have the full sugar Coke. Like, what's the big harm, right? And it's hard to be that one person. So that was one thing that was on my mind, and definitely something I've been reflecting on.
Even with our coaching community, it's funny because like everyone's sharing their morning walks. People are up early, they're sharing their workouts, or they're sharing their PRs, they're sharing their new clothes that are fitting. And it's what's normal in our group. It's what's normal in our community, right? If you're out and about and you talk to your coworker or a friend who maybe truly doesn't want the best for you, which unfortunately sometimes happens if people want to sabotage you if you start to get fit and they're not doing stuff, like that happens, and you have to be careful of that. But when you're in our community and you're sharing wins and you're hitting PRs and you're like crushing it, it's like, if you're not doing that, it's considered not normal, right? So that's where having that community of people, we always say like most people are on their journey by themselves. That's why they don't succeed, because maybe their spouse doesn't understand, their friends, their coworkers, like sometimes they get backlash from trying to do things. Whereas when you're in here and you're working with us and I say, hey, what you turned down food wise on the weekend, that is normal, I'm proud of you, other people would look down and talk down on them. So I just want to say that circle is so huge. Our community is amazing. If you're wanting to get next level results, first link, fill out an application, we'll take care of you. But I just had one thought I wanted to quickly talk about, is the fact that I've been in the sauna probably thousands of hours in the past. And whenever I hear conversations, it's always fixated on small things that don't really make a difference. And so what I mean by this is, we got a recent cold plunge at our gym, right? And so I was at the sauna the other day. People talk probably for like 10 to 15 minutes about how maybe the cold plunge after a workout isn't the best for you, and like, how one guy always goes in there for so long, and like maybe that's not that good for you. And so I very rarely, probably never heard someone talk about calories. I've never heard someone talk about workout intensity. Hey, what muscle groups did you train? And I kind of think it's pretty crazy, because they'll talk about the benefits of the sauna, which is awesome, but then they'll talk about the cold plunge, and then like it's just all the stuff that really doesn't move the needle as much. And it's just crazy how rare it is to just be sitting there and just ever hear anything like that will really move the needle. And to be honest, it's a lot of times, and I hate to say this, but it's usually the people who are there to play pickleball for a little bit, and then like they're just there to recover and like, hit the sauna or cold plunge. And so my point that I'm trying to get across is that when you want to move the needle, when you want to see success, it's the things that will really, really help out. It's the calorie tracking, it's the workout intensity, it's having a properly periodized routine, it's about having accountability. It's not about whether you did a cold plunge for 2 minutes versus 3 minutes, or like, did it after your workout versus a rest day. So I see so many people waste tons and tons of time, and I just wanted to warn you that you'll just end up spinning your wheels if you go down this path. So just be careful.
Yeah, if you're spending a lot of your energy on really small things, like if you're trying to budget and you're spending $10,000 a month and you're like, this is crazy. And your solution is like, you're like, oh, it's my coffee, it's my Starbucks out. Like that's a common kind of meme. It matters and adds up, right? But even if you're spending like, let's say $10 a coffee every single day, that's only $300 of your 10K. Like there's something else that's really eating you and taking you away there. And in the sauna, it's always, like, I don't know if I should be doing my cold plunge after my workout, because it'll take away some of the inflammation. My muscles won't be as big. It won't be good for fat loss. Or I've been trying to do less pickleball and do more Pilates because I want to, like, it's always like random stuff like Kyle said, or the best peptide to take, or how much creatine. Like these things matter, but they're not big movers. And it's funny actually, like my brother-in-law is getting ready for his wedding, and obviously he knows what I do and the advice with it. And he said he's starting tracking, he wanted to lose some weight. And he said, like in 3 weeks, I'm down 8 pounds. Like he's been tracking his food, he's been hitting his macros, he's been doing what matters. And like, it's just so much more sexy to worry about like cold plunging or sauna more or something like that. But a lot of people neglect what actually is a mover. And that's where in our program, like we're going to hold you accountable to what actually matters, what actually is going to be that big difference maker. That is going to be that main thing that you need to focus on to see change. And speaking of that, who do we have our client shout out? This is someone who was struggling, who wasn't sure what the big mover was for them. And now they've lost over 20 pounds, I believe.
Yeah. So this is Lisa, and she's just over 40 years old. She's 20 pounds lost entirely in our program. And it's interesting because she started doing classes, right? She started to do body pump classes where you do a ton of reps, a ton of sets. It's funny, I've done one of those before, and I was just like, okay, well, once again, classes, I'm not going to get into it now, but I see so many people, they're there for fun. That's their only form of working out. And they end up spinning their wheels, right? It's the truth. And even like I have a talk I want to make soon. It's like I see a lot of instructors, like let's say someone's really in shape as like a yoga instructor. You think like, oh, this is what got them there, but it's usually the strength training, the nutrition, and like, the other external factors. But yeah, anyways, that's a whole side note. But I'm so proud of Lisa. When you see her photos, you can tell her muscles are popping. She's looking toned. Her arms are looking super strong. Even her leg definition is honestly incredible. And obviously she wanted to get rid of some stubborn belly fat, which we've been able to successfully do. And once again, this was someone who was doing classes, someone who was like trying and just not really seeing that success that she was hoping for. And then obviously coming in the program, as Josh mentioned, we give you the framework that you actually need for success, right? And I'm not going to be ever the person who says, hey, you enjoy your classes, just get rid of it and cancel your membership. No, like we want to give you the most important stuff that's going to move the needle. We want to make it enjoyable. We want to meet you where you're at. And that's why we have such a high success rate, 99% over our 10 plus years of coaching, which is awesome. It's because this entire program is created for you. What's going to actually fit your lifestyle, your routine, what you enjoy, how many kids you have, any restrictions, everything is fully created. So we're so proud of Lisa. We are looking to work with a few more people who are motivated. If you're already showing up for yourself, but you want to see better change and you're not sure what to do next, We're your guys. We'll take care of you. First link down below. The application will take literally 2 to 3 minutes. And make sure to put as much detail as possible at the very end so I can get back to you with a proper response as to how I can help you. You can see all of the support and everything that we offer. And I can't wait for you to be the next success story on our next podcast.
Yeah, we want to help you go from good to great, and to be excellent, to be the exception, right? You need to do what no one else is doing. You need to do that extra thing. You need to do the smart thing, right? And really focus your energy on what will be a mover. And I think there's nothing better than just seeing a ton of progress go in the right direction. And that's what's always tough for me, is there's a lot of people out there that are trying hard to eat no sugar. They're starving themselves during the week. They're doing 8 classes a week. They're on Ozempic, and they're like, why do I look so bad? Like, I just look worse, right? And like, they're physically working hard. They're just not doing the right things. Like, there's that old quote about you could, like with a tree, you could kind of swing at it with like a bat. You could swing at it with an axe, or you could just rip it out by its roots. Like, there's different levels of like what actually will make change and help you move. So me and Kyle want to be that person to really just help you see that big change, to do it the smart way, the efficient way, to be able to do it for life, and really able to see your full amount of progress and not sell yourself short there. But we're going to jump back into the mailbag with the second question. This is a fun one. This was from my client, Carly. She asked me about this, and I'm like, ooh, I got to make this a podcast question because it's a good one. So we'll start with Kyle, then we'll go to me. The question is, what is your response when people ask you why you go to the gym / what your goal is? Someone asked me that today, but in a way where the question hinted at when I'd be done going, which is odd to me. So I just said to be fit and healthy, and that it's a lifestyle. I guess it's more odd to me that some people don't see exercising as a part of life, but I'm curious what you say to people when they ask you that question.
Yeah, and that's a great question, because going back to the talk of like what I've normalized and what I feel like is normal, to me, this is like, it's everybody I talk to, it's about this. It's what I do. It's what I've done for years. So it's like, even the question, I'm like, I haven't been asked, because it's like people are like, oh, it's what you do and it's what you've been doing for like 15 years, right? But it is great because it really gets you thinking about like your deeper why. If you're asked like, okay, why is it that I'm going to the gym? And it's funny because over the years, my answer's changed, right? Like if you talk to me a year and a half, why I've been pushing so hard is because I had a competition against a friend who I had a $500 bet with to try to beat him in a bench press. Like that was my deeper why. Now, obviously having a daughter and she's like 20 months old now, I'm like, hey, I want to be a jack dad. And I guess what I will say is I kind of tailor my response if I were to get something like based off of who it is. And, I think sometimes I keep it lighthearted, be like, hey, yeah, I just want to be the most jack dad out there, and I want to be fit for life. Even what I shared with you guys previously of like my ultimate motivation, like I genuinely look forward to getting older. And I guess it kind of sounds crazy, but being able to say, you know what, I've reached this age and I'm the best version of myself, because even once again, for years and years, we've gotten these things of like, oh, well, by this date, because like with school, it gets tough. And then with like a family, it gets tough. And then children. And then when you reach 30 and when you reach 40, I'm like, I'm telling you when I say this, I will be 70 years old, jumping, spiking a volleyball, lifting heavy weights on my back. Like I'm going to be doing this. And so that is an ultimate motivator as well, is like to even say, hey, listen, I want to be in shape for life. I want to live longer. And I know strength training does that for me, right? And that's kind of like my honest viewpoint. And obviously what I share with different people would be like who it is that's asking. Like if someone's looking for like an actual, hey, I'm kind of curious, like what are the benefits, like, and kind of wanting a deeper response, I'll dive into that a little bit more, because I truly believe like even when it comes to going to the gym, strength training, it is going to be the greatest thing for you to have a long, healthy, happy, successful life. And a lot of people don't see it that way. They just look at it from a metric of like, oh, you just want to have big biceps. It's like, it's not about that anymore. If you asked me that 10 years ago, absolutely. But I guess the point that I'm trying to get is that I just would explain like, I'm just trying to become like the strongest and healthiest and best version of myself. And the gym allows me to get there, even mentally. And I will say like, once again, depending on who's asking, like, it's a place you just clear your brain. It's a place you become better. It's a place where you're in a confined space where it's just you versus you, and you can say that you become a better version, and you can track that. And yeah, that's kind of my answer there, which I know is a lot, but that's just what's on my mind for this specific question.
Yeah, I thought this was such a fun question because I find people ask this a lot, especially people who don't live a fit, healthy, and happy life. They don't understand it. They don't understand the sacrifice of it. You get questions like, why can't you just let loose and just have a ton of this cake and eat garbage? Or why can't you just skip the gym for a few weeks? Like, you'll get a lot of these questions, right? And I think a lot of that is from insecurity because they're not doing it, and it can be kind of tough. And I think also people have this idea that when they start a fitness journey, there'll be an end date where they'll be done and they can just coast, be easy, they can go back to their old habits. But being fit and healthy and having a transformation, where a lot of people make a mistake, is a lot of it is mental, where you need to craft a new identity, because what you've always done has got you to where you are. And if you want to change, you're going to have to revise that. And even today for our lunch, we went to this new place. It's called Poulet Rouge, which is like red chicken, I guess, in French. I don't know. But whatever, they had it there and it was super good. It was super healthy. It was one of those, like, you got 4 little like chicken breasts, like little ones, but they're like solids, probably like the size of one good sized chicken breast. You get 2 bases, like rice, quinoa. We did rice and kale. And then you can get 7 veggies. So it was like an awesome bowl with some tzatziki. Like, it was so good, and I loved it. It felt so good. Kyle agreed. Like, feel awesome. I feel like I got tons of energy for this show. And then there's this other Chinese, like this Chinese place, like you probably know the mall Chinese food places where they give you the samples, and they have the teriyaki chicken, they got the beef, and it's all fried, like, you know, MSG city, like it's kind of crazy, and it tastes delicious. And like, you can get like 8 different things for like $10. Like, it's a crazy good deal. And I said to Kyle, I'm like, I would rather eat that. Like, if you ask me what would I rather eat in that moment, Kyle would probably rather go to like the ice cream place and just have ice cream for lunch, right? But like, you also come to know that doing that, we're gonna feel horrible. Like Kyle even said, like, our face is gonna be bloated, you're gonna be salty, your stomach's gonna be rumbling, we're gonna be lethargic and have no energy for this podcast, we're gonna be behind on our goals, we're gonna be out of calories, our system's gonna feel horrible, our lift's gonna suck the next day. Like, a lot of it is knowing that doing these things, even though they're sometimes harder in the moment, like the food was still delicious. It was like an 8 out of 10, maybe that Chinese food's like a 10 out of 10 because it's different and fun, or ice cream lunch or whatever. But like, you're still getting all that utility. You're getting all the utility after. You can delay some of that gratification. It's the same with fitness. Like, there's a lot of days, like even Kyle said today, like doing legs is hard. It's scary. You don't want to do it. In particular, barbell squats are one thing I always think of because I hate doing them. Hate the thought of getting all my stuff on for them, putting the bar on my back. It's freaking hard. I'm out of breath, but I always feel so good when it's done. And like, that carries forward, and it goes to show me like, hey, I can do hard stuff. And by eating healthy food, I have so much more energy. I sleep better. My digestion's better. Like, there's just so much benefit to it. And for me now too, like, I'm not remorseful when people say like, oh, why don't you want cake or something? And like, for me, it's just like, I just don't care for it personally, because like, to me, I'd rather the utility of feeling better. I'd rather eat more food. I like looking good. I like having this energy. I want to, like, long term also remain healthy, and that's how we're doing that longevity episode on Thursday. I see my kids have limitless energy. They're just getting better while I'm effectively getting older. That's a motivator. How I answered Carly as well, is I like to be a leader for the community as well. Like, obviously, if I'm living my best life and I'm solving things and I'm finding ways to be fitter, healthier, and happier, I can convey that with you, and I can help you be fitter, healthier, and happier, and you can help someone else. And if you live this way, it's amazing. And I always think, like, I wonder if like a 400-pound person could live a day in my body, how amazing they'd feel, and how shocking that would be for me, like having a hard time moving myself. And I see some people like waddling or having a hard time getting up or moving themselves appropriately, and like, it's tough, right? Like, it's like short-term pleasure is like long-term pain, whereas you can have short-term pain for long-term pleasure. So I find a lot of it is kind of recrafting that identity. And for me, it's just wanting to be fitter, healthier, and happier. And I think it's a good cop-out answer, but like, that is the honest truth. And I think in general, sometimes people will be ashamed to like say that they like doing it, or they do it consistently because they want to do better. But that's my answer.
Yeah. And even like, I really believe having those negative motivators is so helpful. Like, even I didn't share this, but like, a lot of things I will think about is those who I see who struggle, whether it's family members, neighbors, stuff like that, where I'm just like, you know what, like, I don't want to be that person. And that's just being truthful. So like, it's not an answer I would say it in more of a positive, like, hey, I want to have strong shoulders. I want to have healthy mobile hips. I want to have great posture. Like, those are really big motivators, right? That I constantly think about. But it's funny though, because if someone were to just like straight up say, hey, like, why do you go? And like, what's the purpose? Although I would want to get deep, like, my honest answer is just, It's who I am and it's what I do. Like that's my identity. I go to the gym, whether I like it or not, I show up and it's part of my routine. It's been like that for 13 plus years. It's what I do. I go on walks. We choose the healthy option for lunch. It's my identity, right? So like without getting too deep, obviously I shared deeper stuff. Like that's just my honest answer. And that's the best way to succeed, right? Like I love having big goals. Those are the deeper motivators, but I show up because it's just what I've done for so many years. It's what I know. And that's the main ultimate motivator. It's just because it's a habit and it's part of my routine.
Yeah, and it's something I do like to do as well. Like I like to take my time at the gym. I like lifting. I like the challenge of it. I like hitting my macros. I enjoy eating healthy food and being able to enjoy that and have balance and still have fun things. And I think even the art of progression is awesome. Like just knowing you're getting better day after day is super motivating. So all in all, it definitely makes it a lot easier. And I think at first there's so much friction to getting started, but obviously if you listen to this podcast, you're aware of the benefits of being fit, healthy, and happy. And I always like to say when you get results, you get addicted. And especially people in our program, like as they see more results, they set higher bars, they begin to achieve it, they get more momentum, they get more success. And that's just like one of my favorite things about being a coach. So I thought that was an awesome question and was really pumped to jump into that. And our third and final question is creatine safe? So I get asked a lot about two things in particular. The typical one is it bad for your kidneys? And also, is it going to make your hair fall out? Because there have been one-off studies in the past that weren't great studies that shared some data of this, and this has kind of been the one fear with creatine, because creatine has been like a miracle supplement as of late. Obviously it has cognitive benefits, it has endurance benefits, it has strength benefits, helps your body use ATP more efficiently. So creatine has tons of benefits. It's really cheap, it's really easy to take, and it's been backed by science. It's clean, sport safe. Like there's so much benefit to creatine, right? And most generally I say there's always a pushback. When there's a lot of good, there's a pushback. But creatine has been that one thing that has shown up. And even seeing the new science over the years, I was digging into it more, and it was actually linked to potentially being a reducer of Alzheimer's, which is amazing. In a new study in 2026, which is killer, they're actually able to change like the brain levels of creatine, which is insane. Like that is absolutely amazing. It's cool to see benefits like that. They were also shown that a single high dose can help with cognitive benefit after sleep deprivation. So obviously your brain isn't going to be as efficient. It's not going to work as well. And they were seeing like upwards of like 30% improvements on that, which is insane. So it's cool seeing outside of just the gym how many benefits are there, and even the benefits for the mind and all the amazing things that come alongside that. So I was looking up even some more of the recent studies, and there was a major 2025 meta-analysis done by Creator et al., where they reviewed 250 plus studies and over 26,000 participants, and they found that there was no credible evidence of harm to kidneys, livers, or other systems. And just to found some other studies found that there was no link to hair loss. So this has been pretty much disproven by way of the science. So you're safe to take creatine. I actually was sharing with my clients how I'm upping my daily intake from 3 to 4 grams upwards to 10 grams. Previously I said 3 to 5 is totally fine. There is some new studies showing that taking more can actually be more of a benefit. The one drawback here obviously would be GI discomfort. So if you have too much creatine, that can cause some issues with digestion. So that is based on a person-to-person basis. You also do get the bloating, which doesn't actually make you look like you're bloating or your stomach or anything like that. You're just going to retain more water as a result of the creatine. So your scale number will be higher, but you won't look different in that sense. And it's going to help you build more lean muscle, have more endurance. So it's just going to help you overall. So there isn't much of a drawback there. Biggest drawback, of course, would be GI discomfort, but all in all, it is totally safe. It is the one supplement that is very tried and true that I highly recommend.
Yeah, creatine has been around for a long time. It's tried and true, been taking it over 10 years now, and we will be doing a further deep dive on some of the top supplements, so look out for that in the near future. But we did want to say thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it. If you made it to the end of this episode, you are a real one. We love spending time with you guys all. And of course, if you're looking to get to the next level on your fitness journey, you're tired of struggling and spinning your wheels and you want to see change, we are your guys. Look no further. I promise you we'll take care of you. First link down below, make sure to submit an application, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.